What up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Average Joe's X and O's podcast. Max and Nick here with you, and today we got some news to talk about. And unfortunately, a lot of the news seems to be on the criminal side of things.
Welcome to pre-training camp NFL season. It's pretty much how that goes.
And basically signs of CTE. If we want to get right into it. I mean, we could start off. Well, one of them's probably CTE related. Richard Sherman, because y'all didn't hear. I'm even kind of like not super. I read a little bit about it, but he first of all, claimed he was going to kill himself. But there's more to the story. He didn't try to break it anywhere, did he? It was just. What was it? It was like.
So
I heard the video.
So the 911 call, it sounded like that was part of it, right? He was threatening to kill himself, or it sent text messages to people threatening he was going to kill himself. Apparently he was extremely intoxicated, had driven a vehicle. I'm not sure if the vehicle, because there was an accident where they claimed it was a hit and run.
Hit and run.
In reality, it sounded like he just ran into a concrete barrier and pulled the vehicle off to the side of the road. So whether that happened prior to or after, the whole intoxication thing is to be determined. But so this was just a long string of events. Went to they say it was his ex-wife, but I believe they're still married.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know why the story was it was the ex-wife, but her parents' house and tried to enter, and on the 911 call, it's kind of disturbing. Mm-hmm. She told the dispatcher, he said that if any cops show up, he was going to fight them, and he's unarmed. Please don't shoot him. You know what I mean? It was just stuff like that. So kind of a scary thing, very unfortunate. And honestly, out of all people, that would have probably been the last person I would have expected. Richard Sherman had always been a super high value. He was kind of like one of those guys that was like a pillar of the community. Yeah. It was always, it seemed like he was always on moral high ground for things. And
yeah, because
very thoughtful. So
he's even talked in interviews about like. Cause I'm pretty sure. Well, I know he graduated, but he might even have a master's degree, if I'm not mistaken. But he was always kind of talking about issues and stuff like that. He's a very educated dude, you know what I mean?
Right.
So.
And it just to me, out of anybody you could run into, you hate to judge people, on things, but that was just the one guy I would think you would never see something like this happen.
Yeah.
But that also sheds some light on the fact that people run it, people have issues. He did say he was going through some personal things, and that kind of spiraled out of control. So it just goes to show you, regardless of your standing in the community and things like that, how high profile of a player or person you are in society, that the mental side of things, people could have problems and issues, and things like this can spiral out of control, and it can happen to anybody. And I think this is just as good of a lesson, in regards to that as anything you could possibly see. So I think Richard Sherman at this point has a very, regardless of from the football side, this is a very good opportunity for him to, kind of shed light on this and maybe help people in similar situations, regarding the fact that he is such a high profile player, Super Bowl winner, has experience going through something like this. This is a really good opportunity for him to make a difference and an impact on people's lives outside of what he's already done for the community. So, you would like to see him bounce back and be able to bounce back in that way, in a positive way.
Well, I think it could be a mix of a lot of things. I was kind of joking when I was saying CTE, but I mean, it could be, we do know it can kind of change your behavior. You know what I mean? He's played in the league a long time, so I don't know what his concussion history is. But also, I think another thing that might play into it, and this is with not just NFL athletes, probably see it a lot in MMA as well. I mean, you look at, if you're an MMA guy and you watch it, you look at what's happening to Conor McGregor right now. I mean, dude's still making money, but he's not the same fighter he was when he was coming up, like before he got to that pinnacle, right? So a guy like Richard Sherman, who was unarguably, I mean, you can debate which you think is like the best defenses to ever be together, but the years he was with Seattle and they won their Super Bowl, it was a really, really good defense, top of his game, maybe. He's getting older. I don't know how old he is, but he's been in the league for a long time, end of his career for sure. Like, he's a free agent. Definitely probably not going to get signed now. So it's like, if you haven't transitioned as a pro athlete of what you're going to do when your sport's done, and you're trying to kind of hang on to what got you to where you are, and you're not ready to move on and into retirement and don't have anything planned, I can see where that would be kind of stressful and not, it would just cause some problems. So I think that could be part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, the outside factors, again, whatever, going through personal, that was his statement. Like, he was going through some personal things, like, regardless of whatever that is. It could have been the frustration mounting from not being signed. It could have been family issues. It could be a multitude of other things that we don't know about, right? But yeah, the stress of all of that kind of compounding on itself to the point where it drove him to make the decisions that he made, in regards to, this incident. That's something that, can't be denied there. And, one of the things I always think about too, especially like some of these guys that you wonder the training and just like the mental, specifically like the mindset that players go into NFL seasons with. Like, it's a very aggressive sport. So you wonder some of the psychology reasons behind it. Like, these guys are just like, they're on the field of battle, like willing to sacrifice their bodies for stuff. And like the impact of that and kind of that mindset when you aren't on the football field, like, these guys are alphas, you know what I mean? Like, they're guys that are in that alpha male mindset. And you wonder sometimes, like, if that plays a role into some of the things that they decide to do off the field as well. So, it's just kind of an interesting, it's an interesting discussion from that standpoint, a psychological standpoint. But, I hope he bounces back, man. Like, I never had any issues with Richard Sherman. Like, I thought he was always a very good spokesman for, social issues and things that had come up, especially from the NFL, wanting to make sure players are getting their fair share of stuff, which is totally understandable. Never had any animosity with him or anything like that. So, like, he was just a guy that it was surprising to me. It was definitely surprising news. And unfortunately for him, this could ultimately end up being the last part of his legacy for his career, as unfortunate as it is. So.
Yeah, I mean, I never had anything problem with it either. I was actually impressed with him when he came off of that at his age and came back from that Achilles injury and was able to play. I thought that was pretty impressive. What's that?
Even at the tail end of his career, man, he was a productive player. Like,
right.
So, it was very impressive. He came off that Achilles injury and was able to perform the way he was able to perform. So,
but yeah, hopefully, he do get some help and he could bounce back from that. The other news that's, I mean, you can't really condone any of this behavior, but Mingo, how do you say his fucking first name? Barkevious Mingo. Yes. Drafted by the Browns originally and then kind of bounced around the league. I forget what team he was with recently. But yeah, apparently this dude, likes to show his wiener to kids. So can't be doing that. I don't know. I don't really have any words. Like, I just like to throw away your fucking NFL career for that is, I don't know. I don't understand the mentality there.
Yeah, that's anybody in society that's that way. It's disgusting and just unacceptable.
I use my
very
word.
Unfortunate. It's crazy though, man. Like, you how do you plan for that as a team? Like, you can't. I feel like that's something that you can't just, when you're vetting a person, to become whether it's a free agent, a draft pick, or whatever, and you're going through their history, like, you can't you can't determine that. That shit's like, you find out after the fact, and it's almost embarrassing from your end. Like, shit, we signed this guy, and here he is doing this kind of stuff. Like, as a team, it's just crazy that's even something that could be an issue. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
here we are.
I'm surprised he didn't play at Penn State instead of LSU. I mean, shit. But I was telling a friend when the Suns were playing on Wednesday, we were out, and I was trying to like bring it up, being like, hey, did you guys hear about this? And like, but my wordage was kind of shitty. I was like, yeah, Mingo, he used to play for the Browns, yeah. I was like, so apparently he likes to bang kids. And my buddy was in mid drink, beer to his fucking lips, and he like kind of almost chokes in his beer. He's like, dude, you can't just say like fucking bang kids. And I'm like, well, I mean, we don't know for sure, but I mean, pretty fucking close, But
right, what's at that point? What's the difference, right? You fuck it. It's crazy, but I haven't seen anything as far as like official. I know he was released, but I haven't seen anything official on whether or not he was like indicted or anything like that. I have no idea what specifically is happening with that case, but
I think the craziest thing is like you're an NFL athlete. Arguably, you could probably get a lot of women that you want to pick from, basically. So to like go that route is just, I don't know, man. I'll never understand the mentality of child molesters or any like that.
Imagine being in a locker room, regardless if it's NFL or not, and you find that out about one of your teammates. Like, that's got to take, you got to be like, what the fuck, man? Like,
Oh yeah, you don't.
The guy, and think about it from this standpoint, like, oh, he was a close friend of ours, or he was always over, and now you're in the mindset of you have a family in the NFL, and this was a guy that would show up to your house for meetings or whatever else, and you're like, fuck, he was
around my kids or that kind of thing. Yeah.
Kind of a fucking crazy thing to even think about, but it's also like, I guess that if it ends up being factual and this was something that he did, and the truth comes to light and this was the case, like that's just one more person off the street that's, a fucking pedophile. Like, you get those guys, throw them in jail because this shit's just disgusting. But that's crazy, man. It's just this is the news cycle that we have to deal with this time of year, though. Like, this is the shit that we have. You know what I mean? Like, there's not real football things happening.
Yeah.
You got people working out. You got golf tournaments left and right happening. Like, good for you guys. You're way better at golf than I am. I fucking hate you. But and then you have to fucking report on this depressing stuff. But hey, it is what it is, man. Like, it's it's just the time of year. But,
yeah, well, the good news is that's this time of year. We got camp starting in like 2 weeks now.
Yes.
And we're going to be having a lot of content coming out from camp, and which means what? Let's say 2 weeks camp starts, then what? Arguably 3 or 4 weeks until, because usually that second week we start preseason, even though there's only a couple preseason games. We're right into it, so we're getting really close. And with that, we got some quarterback and receiver things to kind of talk about. And you brought this up. As far as all the quarterbacks that were drafted in 2018, you wanted to kind of debate like who we think will be the first one to get extended. No one's been extended yet, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's that time of year, right? Like, we got guys that are entering their fifth year, and typically whenever you have rookie quarterbacks entering their fifth year, it's a lot of times they get extended as they roll that fifth year from, first round picks into that extension as part of it. So this is really a conversation that needs to be had for a lot of the high profile guys. I think Josh Rosen ends up getting the most money and extended for like 50 years because it's shot. No, I'm just kidding. It's not, no. But we do have guys we need to discuss here, and we've already seen one of these players traded, and in Sam Darnold. But out of the three guys that were with their team originally drafted, out of Baker, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson, one of those guys is going to set the market, and it's just a matter of who it is. So, would you agree that you think all three of those deserve to be signed for a long-term deal. Let's say 4 or 5 year contract.
I mean, I know I'd get a lot of fucking hate for this, what I'm about to say. Lamar's the only one, as great as Lamar is to watch, and I've said this in other podcasts before. I think he's great. I think they could win a Super Bowl with him. Absolutely. That's not what I'm taking away. All I'm saying is the way he plays. I know he's faster than everybody. That's great. It's only a matter of time before, like, is he going to do that when he's in his 30s? Probably not. You know what I mean? Because at some point he's gonna get hit at some point, right? It's just the nature of the game, dude. Like, we all thought, you watched Michael Vick play, even though the system wasn't built for him. Even he'll tell you eventually he fucking got hit, you know. So then I guess the question becomes, can Lamar rely on his arm whenever that goes, right? Because running and just being that elusive and dynamic of player is part of his game. So like him not having that and having to throw, I just don't know, like him playing 10 years is I don't know if you're going to get 10 years out of him like you would with your Peyton Mannings and your Rodgers, that kind of thing. Even Mayfield and Josh Allen, because they can throw the ball. And Josh Allen also likes to run the football, but he can take some hits. He's a bigger dude. But I think he would be able to use his arm if he didn't have that, if that makes sense. That's what I think the biggest difference is. So Lamar, I think, would kind of scare me for a long-term deal if I was them. And you can even hear them this year in the offseason. They're like, oh, we want to start letting them throw a little more and kind of shift it, because like defenses were starting to get a little bit better and kind of be able to shut down that offense a little bit compared to the previous year. So that's only going to continue to grow, as you know, because that's just happens in the NFL. Defenses always adjust, right? So we're going to find out a lot this year, I think, on that.
I'm curious to see specifically, you were kind of talking a lot about Lamar there. I think one thing we got to factor into his situation with a contract is the fact that he has no agent representation.
His mom. Yep.
So if I am a team, I am going to look at one of two things. I'm going to try to hedge on getting my guy signed first, because here's how it's ultimately going to play out. The guy that signs sets the bar. Anybody that signs after that person is going to want the same, if not more money. And that's usually how it goes, right? You see a guy like Tre'Davious White sign, set the cornerback market. Next thing you know, 3 corner signs that get paid more money than him, right? Yeah. Deion Dawkins signs and sets a good margin for a left tackle. You see 4 other guys sign that get paid more money than him. So just as examples there. So if you're going to follow the same trend, like as a team, you got to weigh, all right, what's the cap looking like in future years? What kind of deal are we going to structure? Ultimately, the last thing you want to do is a franchise tag. Like, that's the last thing you want to do with a quarterback, is have to franchise tag the guy. So, as a team, you're looking at, okay, we got to structure this contract appropriately. We need to make sure the quarterback is the guy. Like, we got to make sure he is the right guy and a franchise guy. I would say, your point about Lamar playing the style that he's playing for 4 to 5 additional years is an absolutely valid point. And it might be something, again, without him having a legitimate agent representing him, that could be something that's brought up. Listen, guys like with your style of play might not last as a long-term deal. Maybe we offer you a 2 or 3 year, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of variables there. Yeah. I think guys more along the lines of what Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, like their play style, I would almost think you're more willing to offer them longer term deals. But again, the caveat is, many will say Josh Allen, 1 year wonder, he had the one good year. It might be risky to offer him a long-term deal. Baker Mayfield's had, he had a stellar rookie year, okay second year, and, progressively got better as the year went on this year. and you look at it and go, is this guy going to be the guy we want to lead us as a franchise quarterback for 5 additional years, and we revisit his contract after that? You know, you're going to be committing $40 million to these guys. That's just the way the market is. So those are questions that teams are going to ask. And honestly, selfishly, I kind of want the Bills to be the team that gets Allen done first. So that way, you know, because everybody talks about who deserves the most money. It's like, honestly, I think they're all fairly comparable. If anything, Lamar probably does because he has an MVP under his belt. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about projections and things like that, you know, I honestly, I couldn't even tell you who I would think would deserve the most amount of money. I selfishly want the Bills to sign Allen for the least amount out of the 3, so they're better off to, you know, set up to succeed down the road.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I don't think Baker is going to take a big payday. And I say that because they want to win in Cleveland. You can just tell they're like Landry and all these guys. I wouldn't be surprised if Baker took less money. So you could pay Myles Garrett, you could pay Nick Chubb too. You know, some of the guys that are on the team to kind of try and keep the team together a little bit longer. I could be wrong. That's just like a vibe that I get. I don't know. So I honestly, out of those 3, I mean, I feel like I don't know. I kind of felt like the Bills would probably get something done first. I don't know why. I just kind of feel that way.
You can say that about Baker, but if Josh Allen comes out and signs a $40 million deal, like Baker is going to want 40. Like that's going to be what it is, you know. Or if Lamar comes out and signs a $40 million deal, like, you know, that's going to be what they're going to want. You know?
I just don't know what is the number based off right now. I mean, like, for people to be like, oh, well, Mahomes is getting this. It's like, yeah, well, he also has been a couple Super Bowls.
But that is part of setting the market, right? Yeah. Like he helped set what the market is for quarterbacks. So you think about what Mahomes, you know, his contract's crazy though. Like it's crazy. And honestly, his contract is extremely team friendly because there's outs and stuff like that. So like, you know, but one of the things you can also talk about here, and I'm not sure if it was reported on anything like this for Baker or Lamar, but I know for Josh Allen specifically, you know, he said that he's willing to structure this so that way it helps the team stay competitive. So whether that means less money, more signing bonus money, you know, whatever the case is, you know, he's willing to do that, but still he's going to want to get paid, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, ultimately, whoever signs first, that's where these other 2 guys are going to be based off of. And, you know, by the sounds of it, you know, talks with Lamar have been, you know, kind of hit or miss. And I'm not sure, have you heard anything on the Baker front, like where they're at or, you know, what the last?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay.
They've been hush-hush.
I do know that they are progressively working towards something for Josh Allen. Honestly, it might not be something that we hear happen right away until projections come out for next year's cap. It very well could be, or the following year's cap. It very well could be like, hey, we got to kind of see what we're able to play with here as far as money goes, and then we just, you know, structure it that way. Some guys had pretty interesting ideas of like cap structuring, like, hey, take this amount, and then as the cap increases, like we pay you a % more, you know, based on that. So way you're allocated, hey, we want to allocate you 15% of the salary cap for team cap numbers, and that equates to this. And as the cap increases, you know, we structure your deal to always be at this percentage towards the cap. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if players would do that, but you know, we're in wait and see mode with this. And honestly, you know, right around training camp, maybe a couple weeks into the season, we might get a little bit more traction on this. But would you agree that all 3 deserve to be paid and extended?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially if we're talking like 5 years, I think they've all done enough. Because, like, I mean, in Baker's case, you know, obviously the rookie year, and then like you also got to factor in the 3 different head coaches in a matter of. I mean, I feel like any other guy, like you're telling me I mean, Sam Darnold did. I mean, the Jets are shitty too, but you're telling me would Sam Darnold have made it out of that like Baker did? I mean, but you got to give Baker some credit for dealing with that,
Yeah.
in such a short amount of time.
Right. And you look at what the team's accomplished, and that the Browns can win with Baker at quarterback, especially with what they did last year. But you guys are going to you're going to have some players you're going to have to pay, right? Yeah. You're going to have a decision to make on Nick Chubb, on Denzel Ward, on some of these guys. So,
right.
You're going to have some tough decisions coming up here. You do have some cap space, but that might dwindle pretty quickly, with that coming up. So, that's something to factor in on that kind of decision. And it's the same with the Bills. The Bills have very little cap space. They got about $10 million, and they're going to pay Josh Allen. You're going to have some decisions to make.
They don't have to. Is there a date where they have to give the options by, or can they play the season and wait?
Well, they're only in year 4 right now. So if they do pick up, I'm pretty sure they have exercised the 5th-year option on those guys already. But a lot of times the contracts that they do extend, they're like, here, you're going to play under 5th-year option at this amount, which is, a substantial amount more than what they're getting paid this year. They're getting paid $20-some million.
Dude, it's fucking crazy to think that you just got. Yeah, I can't believe it's going into year 4 already. I remember we were watching that draft like it was fucking yesterday.
Yeah. And it's like, dude. And the draft reactions were always fun to to see, because I will say I never in my lifetime, especially with how my initial thoughts after that draft, I would have never thought that we'd be talking about long-term franchise quarterback extensions for a couple of these guys. So specifically, I was like,
let alone the Bills and the Browns in the same fucking sentence.
Right, exactly. And there was a lot to like about what what Baker Mayfield brought to the table for the Browns. We were optimistic about that, and then with Josh Allen, it's like I wasn't sure because he was very raw, but here we are, 3 years going into year 4 of his career, and it's like, well, the guy obviously can be an MVP. He finished second last year. He has that potential. So it's like, okay, we kind of got a glimpse of where these guys are at, and same with Lamar. So, it's just funny. It's funny how that works, but that's a conversation for another day where we go about expectations for this quarterback class.
Yeah.
And where they're at now. I would say that this quarterback class definitely met some of the expectations that were set upon them. You know what I mean? Especially considering other quarterbacks that are drafted in the first round in other drafts, and where they end up panning out to be. You know what I mean? And how many fail.
Yeah.
There was high expectations for this class, and 3 of these guys are legitimate contenders in playoffs and MVP candidates. So,
yeah, which, I mean, if you go back and look at statistics, I'm pretty sure it doesn't happen very often, because usually, there's only 32 quarterbacks, so there's always busts every year.
The last class that I remember having multiple people like that, what was it, 03? With Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, Eli.
Yeah.
That was the last class that I can remember having multiple guys that were legit, right? 2017 you had Deshaun and Pat Mahomes, that's okay, but
Pat Mahomes also was kind of nobody thought that was
right. I called it. I'm just
he sat out that first year.
I'll toot my own horn and say I called Pat Mahomes, but
you knew it.
I had a good feeling. I wanted the Bills to take him really badly. And
well, speaking of these quarterbacks, we got to talk about some receivers here. You said that who was it? You were talking about the receiver odds, it came out. So what was the
So odds from Bet Online, odds to lead the NFL in receiving in 2021, and they listed their top receivers and what the odds are to actually leave the NFL.
Who's their number one? Who are they going
Number
with?
one is Stephon Diggs, 8-1.
Okay.
Then you have number 2 as Calvin Ridley, which was a shock to me, at 9-1. Him and Tyreek Hill both are 9-1 to lead the NFL in receiving.
Interesting.
You have 2 guys at 10-1 in Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins. Interesting caveat here at 11-1, Travis Kelce, or Kels, apparently, as his name is actually
Oh
pronounced.
yeah, I heard about that.
And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys at 14-1, including AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Julio Jones, Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, Mike Thomas at 16-1, Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, and Amari Cooper at 20-1. Out of those guys, who do you think? Who would you put your odds on out of the list that they provided?
Man, I think. I mean, I do think. I mean, the Diggs pick is not. It's not a bad pick. For some reason though, God, I wish Arizona wasn't such a question mark, because I think Hopkins can definitely take it. Like that Arizona's offense should be fucking legit. I just don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you got to think about all those other pieces too, and like they're a passing offense for sure. Yeah, man, it's a tough one. The Ridley thing's fucking weird. I don't know.
I look at it like in that offense, I could absolutely see Calvin Ridley like being there. Now, would I put him like above Devontae Adams? Maybe at this juncture, because we don't know about Aaron Rodgers.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what kind of worries me about Adams a little bit.
Or D-Hop, like DeAndre Hopkins was a top 5 receiver last year. Travis Kelce is it's so weird to say it that way too. Like I have to get
Did
used to
he actually come out and say that? Because I saw the tweet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Because we're Mahomes and Hill were like, he never said anything one time that we were pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, well, we had this deal with Tyrod Taylor, and all of a sudden one day he's like, yeah, it's pronounced Tyrod. I'm like, what the hell? So, like I still call him Tyrod, but like I don't know. He never said anything to anybody else about it, so like I don't know. So maybe I just continue rolling with Travis Kelce. Fuck it, why not? We'll do that. But that's an interesting one to me at 11-1, because he was like top 3 last year in receiving. So that's an interesting one. The guy I really like, I mean, any of the 14-1 guys, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Julio, Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, like those are probably my favorites. Like if you're gonna bet, I could throw money down on AJ Brown or DK Metcalf and like not really have a ton of qualms with that, because that's a pretty good payout.
Yeah.
With the odds that are on them, you know what I mean? Even Justin Jefferson, man. Justin Jefferson's a big play, like a big time. His average, per target is huge. So, it's a big play guy that could potentially take the NFL receiving.
Dude, and then like, I mean, I'm not throw on the list, but dude, I mean, if Dak's healthy and could come back from that ankle injury and play the full season, I mean, one of those guys.
Good. However,
one of those receivers might fucking.
I will say this: the only reason Amari Cooper scares me is he's never topped 1,200 yards in his career receiving.
Interesting.
So that's a caveat to consider.
That is. But the Raiders, when he was with the Raiders, though, the Raiders have always been fucking, I don't know, something off with them,
I get it.
And and he's still young though. What year is this for him? This is what? He was with the Raiders for only a couple of years.
Amari Cooper is
year 5, maybe 5 or
27
6?
now. Yeah, he's 27. So he's actually the same age as Diggs.
Huh. So yeah, he's probably been in the NFL, what, 5-6 years?
I can't remember what draft he was.
I
just had his page pulled up while I close it out. I'm an idiot.
But the Cowboys also got what? CD Lamb. See what step he takes in year 2.
Yeah. So he was drafted 2015. Excuse me.
Okay.
For Cooper. So.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, because you got CD Lamb out there, Cooper. I mean, one of those guys might be able to step it up this year. And then what about fucking? I mean, we'll see what Washington does with with Fitzmagic, but I mean, you see what McLaurin.
Yes. McLaurin. Yeah, Terry McLaurin. Yep.
Yeah. How he I mean, like, everybody knew like where the ball was going even last year, and he was still able to get open. So like, I mean, he's a stud, and he's got some help out there now this year. So I don't know. I feel like there's always going to be like a sleeper coming out too. That's just a hard thing to predict from year to year. I feel like. I mean,
I look at it.
Obviously, there's a lot of people on that list are going to ball out, but to be like, okay, who's going to actually lead? I think is.
Well, here's what you need to really look at when you're kind of analyzing this is typically, and it's a very good route to go fantasy football wise when you're looking at receivers or anything in general. Volume. Who is going to see the most volume passing wise out of these guys? I think that's why they put Ridley up there. The Atlanta Falcons pass the ball a ton.
Mm-hmm.
He is their number one, so he's going to have the most opportunity and probably see the most targets outside of Diggs. And I think that's why they put Diggs at number one, considering what the offense looked like in Buffalo last year. Targets usually equate to catches, which will ultimately equate to yards. So, like, guys that are going to be targeted a ton. And I think that's why, a guy like DeAndre Hopkins isn't a terrible, look. But again, a guy like DK Metcalf, I could absolutely see in that offense, DK Metcalf taking over the role of with Russell Wilson, like the amount of targets that they get. So, that's something to consider. Mike Thomas down there too, man. Like, I get the quarterback situation in New Orleans is kind of crazy, but Michael Thomas at 16-1 is also a very intriguing.
Yeah, because who's to say? I mean, I have my manager is a Saints fan, and let's not forget that Winston. I understand his time in Tampa Bay, he threw a lot of interceptions towards the end there. That was costly to the team, but he also, with those interceptions, put up some pretty big numbers occasionally and threw touchdowns and won games. You know what I mean? Still, despite those interceptions. So if he can clean up those interceptions and have gotten better sitting behind Breeze, don't be surprised if the Saints are okay and don't have like a huge drop off, and Michael Thomas still puts up some fucking numbers.
Well, we're gonna figure out like what their offense looks like this year. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be, obviously it's gonna be different than what Drew Brees was operating it, but
because you can say right now, especially, I mean, Drew Brees' wife came out and said all the shit that he played with this year, which is more than just some broken ribs, which is pretty fucking wild to think about, especially at 40 something years old. Winston, at right now, present day, clearly has a stronger arm, a younger guy. You know what I mean? So
yeah, listen, I get it, but are players going to want to play for him? I don't know if you saw the hype video that was posted when he was with Tampa and Fitz was there. Did you see this video?
No, I don't think so.
He did like a rhyme, like he like broke it down and did like a spit some bars, and everybody repeated after him. And then afterward, Fitz comes up and goes, your rhyme was a little bit long-winded. I liked it though. That's all he said. It's a little long-winded, but I liked it. So, like, I don't know if he might have trouble motivating guys. I don't know. Michael Thomas be like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
I mean, the W thing, eating the wins was obviously a classic. So I don't know. But yeah, it'd be interesting to keep an eye on there. With, like you said, with Michael Thomas, that might be a good bet. So obviously the lower down that list you pick, and you have a bigger chance of winning more money, right? So
yep.
But yeah, man, that's the shit I love about the NFL, because like from year to year, shit can change so much. Obviously, you have your guys in the top 5, middle of the pack that are always pretty productive. But
yep.
We're gonna find out here soon. So
I think and you really, what you're gonna see is you just got to predict. Like I said, you got to predict who's gonna be the pass happy offenses and who's the guy that's going to be targeted the most in those offenses, and it makes the top part of that list does make sense to me.
The Calvin Ridley thing makes a little more sense now, because I forgot they got Kyle Pitts, who obviously is going to be a big factor from day one. So maybe they're banking on him causing, making some plays, leaving Ridley open to kind of do his thing. So.
And Ridley was on his way to being really excelling in that offense prior to getting hurt a couple games. Yeah. Like, dude, I had him on my fantasy teams, a couple teams, and he was a monster for me in those leagues. So it's just a matter of him staying healthy and them continuing that trajectory. And if Matt Ryan can play at the level he's been playing at for, his career, they should be okay. And that should be a viable option there.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm pumped. Even just thinking about all this shit. Can't wait.
Agree.
We're so close, dude. So close.
Yep. I keep seeing stuff pop up. One thing to keep your eyes peeled on, and I really want to tune in this year because I honestly think I might see more Bills players on this list than I've ever seen in my entire life. But NFL Top 100s coming out here in August as well. I wanna sit down and watch it because I want to see where some of these guys are. Browns players gonna be on that list too. Maximum, you're gonna have some guys there, so it's gonna be something to definitely check out. I love the top 100 though because it's just like it's peers rating peers. You know what I mean? Like it's players that are going in and saying, "Here's how we think about these guys," and it's always curious to see. You know what I mean? From year to year, how that changes too. But that's coming up in August. I believe it was August 15th, if I'm not mistaken.
I wonder how they do that, right? Because you said it is all players that vote on that.
Yeah.
So like, I wonder how they like that process of how they go in and have like, do they just like do a fucking like here's the list? And
they literally, it's like a clipboard, and they literally just go down through the clipboard and rate guys. So yeah, August 15th is when that comes back out. So
yeah, and they do each position, or is it overall?
Just overall, it's just the top 100 players.
Huh. Well, that'll be something to break down when we get that as well.
The hilarious thing about it was last year they actually had in the last one they had Allen at like 83, and everyone was like, "Why is this guy even on the list?" Like, what the hell? But like the players vote on it, and they voted him in there.
Who was it?
Josh Allen.
Oh.
They're like, why is this guy even on the list? And people are like, I wouldn't even put him in the top 200 players. I think Colin Cowherd said that.
Dude.
And then now he's like on the Bills dick. It's just hilarious to me.
You just I thought you said Keenan Allen, and it just popped in my head, and we were totally leaving out the Chargers there. I mean, year 2 with fucking Herbert at quarterback, dude. Don't be surprised if that offense explodes and some receivers are at the top there as well, especially Keenan Allen.
Yeah, well, he's 16-1. Yeah, he very well could. I don't know what that offense is going to look like because it's all new personnel. Well, not personnel, but all new coaching staff. I'm not sure what they're going to try to accomplish there, but yeah, it could absolutely. I think Keenan Allen's there, but Mike Williams is another guy in that offense.
Right, because he got hurt. He got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, he's so good, dude.
Yeah, dude. Because I remember I was watching that
so good.
Hard Knocks last year,
yep.
And he was balling out, and then he fucking went down. So, yeah,
he's an animal.
Keep an eye on them.
Yeah, but I want them to all beat the shit out of each other in that division. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
So.
Fuck, man. I think that's all we really got for today. I was gonna bring up apparently if you're a Texas Longhorn, you get butthurt pretty easily. So now it's a penalty for Oklahoma fans if they put the horns down sign, which is so stupid. I don't get it. I didn't read what the logical reasoning was for that, but taking the fun out of the rivalry.
I'm going to throw it out there. Matthew McConaughey went in and had some words, and they decided, we can't piss off good old Matty McConaughey out here, so we gotta make changes.
That could be true.
That's my rationale, but
yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
It's taunting or whatever. I don't know, dude. Like, it's silly to me. Like, that's your thing. Like, it's good shit talk.
Yeah. I say if you're Oklahoma fans or if you're a player and you beat the shit out of Texas this year, I say you do it anyway.
Right. Well, I mean, out of all the things that you could possibly be doing, like that's going to be enough to suspend a kid or kick him out of the game. Like,
right. Stupid.
Come on. But here's the thing. If you do it to a Texas player, or their fans, it's, possible ejection and, whatever else. If you do it to your sideline, they're considering not making a penalty or anything. So like you could literally just look at your sideline and give the horns down and like be fine. But if you're fucking doing it to a Texas player or whatever, like it's a penalty. So just be smart about it. Just make sure you face your sideline and do it and you're good to go. Like you're fine there. But
I think the University of Texas should focus on just winning games. Again.
Yeah, maybe recruit a little better and fucking like become prominent again.
Right.
Like you peaked at Vince Young. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, dude. Next week we should do. Take a look at some college quarterbacks and like some of the hype we got going in some college. I think that'd be kind of cool. We got Spencer Rattler, who's from here, who's kind of been, I've seen a lot of shit on Twitter coming up as being like the next quarterback as he goes into his junior.
Couple small school guys too. There's a kid from Liberty that I heard some good things about.
Oh yeah. I forget his name.
Yeah. So yeah, we can preview that a little bit prior to the college football season and see what other NFL news comes out.
Ohio State still got 3 quarterbacks battling. We got I forget his name at Bama right now. Trey Young, is that his name? Something Young, RJ Young. I don't know, but yeah, we can fucking dive into that and kind of see what's going to be expected. Because who do we? Lawrence is gone. Fields is gone.
Well, we got to set the table for the landscape of college football, man, because it's going to be completely different this year.
Yeah, because there isn't like a veteran really besides Spencer. I think out of all the big schools, so everybody's going to be kind of new. It seems like. So yeah, we'll do that next week. Shit. Maybe we'll tweet some things out. Maybe we'll try and get some information from some of you guys on who you like in the upcoming college football season as far as quarterbacks to keep an eye on. So you can tweet us at AJXO pod. Same thing with TikTok. Personally, mine's at Justin_Maxim.
You guys can give me a follow at BillsFan53, B1LLS Fan53 on the Twitter.
Yeah. And I think that'll be a good episode for next week as we get ready in the next couple weeks for the NFL training camps to start, and college season starts a week before football does, or NFL does. So it's coming, dude. I'm pumped. Can't wait. And that's all we got for you today. So tune in next week. Y'all be sweet.